right, so just after 6:30, good to have you with us here on the South African morning. Let's see if you're making money or losing money today. Wayne McCurrie from FNB Wealth and Investments joining us. Always very good of you, Wayne, to be part of the show. Markets performance yesterday, I see firming up. I think all we're putting our hopes on what happens with the Fed and their interest rate cycle coming to an end.
Yes, that's the big discussion point, and it's been like that for a sustained time period now. Last night, everyone was waiting for the speech by the Federal Reserve Chairman, and he did give a speech, but he said nothing about monetary policy, so the market was waiting in anticipation of nothing. And the markets overseas essentially were unchanged overnight. I mean, slightly positive, but I suppose it's good news he didn't say anything, because at least then it hasn't affected markets. And as you correctly said, yesterday, the market recovered about half of the losses it had the day before, when it fell over 2%.
I just want to run through the markets now that you mention it. Let's bring up the gold and the oil price for everyone watching at home at the moment. Wayne, let's just run through that at the moment, because as you say, there hasn't been an awful amount of movement. The safe haven that is gold, barely moving really from yesterday. 1949 is what we have it at. And Brent crude, it's now, I want to talk about the oil quickly. Brent crude below $80 per barrel. That's good news, I think.
Yes, it's very good news. And even though the rand has weakened a little bit, it's still good news in that we can expect, if everything stays the same, a petrol price decrease at the beginning of December. And thank goodness for that. Brent crude was held up for artificial reasons, because Russia and Saudi Arabia restricted supply. So now it's just falling like all other commodities in an economic down cycle.
Yeah, let's look at the currencies quickly. Because of Jerome Powell and the US Fed, let's bring up the currencies quickly and see where we're looking at this morning. Euro 1979, pretty flat. Not much movement on the pound, 22.71 thereabouts. But talk to me, dollar rand. As you were saying there, it wasn't much expectation really of movement until we heard about the US Fed. I'm tracking it at 18.48. What are you expecting?
Look, the rand's probably going to stay at this level for a little while. I'm very positive longer term on the rand. I think the rand can rally quite significantly over the next 2 or 3 years. But in the shorter term, last week it got down to 18.25. It's now weakened back up towards 18.50. I think, it's quite a normal movement for the rand at this stage of the commodity cycle.
Yeah, let's talk some big companies investment-wise. This is your world, isn't it? Investec doing rather well yesterday. Their trading statements, their TS is coming out, so it would look fairly impressive.
Yes, it's very good. Investec, when you look at the new management Investec, they've done extremely well. In fact, Investec's one of the best performing shares on the stock market over the last 3 years. They've really done a good job cleaning up the company, getting their returns much higher. So they've done a good job. And if you look at the trading statement, they continue to do a good job there.
And just expectation for rest of the week from your investment perspective, apart from Investec, which, as you say, management changes there, doing very well for them. What's Wayne McCurrie advising? What's he looking at over the next day or two?
Well, look, we're going to see what happens with the data that comes out, obviously, but I think we're over the worst now as far as inflation and interest rate scares are concerned worldwide. I think we're at the peak of interest rates now, and we can look forward to more and more stories about when interest rates are going to be cut. They'll probably only be cut next year. And all of this is good for the market, and specifically good for the South African market, because if interest rates are cut, the coal price will go up, the platinum price will go up, and we're a commodity exporting country. And that will do our stock market well, our rand well, and our economy should do well in that environment. So we've gone through a terrible time in the last year as far as global economic conditions are concerned and the valuation of the rand. We can hopefully look forward to the next 2 years or so being quite a lot better than the last 2 years, I hope.
I think it's going to be great news, especially for the platinum miners. We know that there's concerns around job security there, so hopefully those figures do start going up and start keeping people employed in that mining sector. Wayne, always good to have you. Appreciate it. Wayne McCurrie, FNB Wealth and Investments.